56. Shacknews Presents Pop Goes the Culture. I am Donovan Erskine, news editor here at Shack News.
He is.
And as always, joined by Greg Burke, our illustrious video head of video. Greg, it's Thursday.
It's yeah, this is how you know the week's almost over. And
It's
you have
a it's like in the office where when they were putting up the sign, it's like it is your birthday. And Dwight's like, what? It's a statement of fact.
it's a statement of fact. It's Thursday. Yes, that you are correct.
Yeah,
This
it
is not wrong.
Thursday. And Thursday means that it's time for Pop Goes the Culture, where we're going to talk about everything new in movies, TV, entertainment just in general. Sometimes we even talk about comics and music and stuff. We've got a pretty good hodgepodge of topics to discuss today. What's up, Ape and Wizard, hopping in the chat there. Appreciate seeing you. Greg got a handful of stories today, and our first news story is actually a bit of a follow-up on something that we've talked about once or twice on the show. I know we brought it up a couple weeks ago. We learned that they are rebooting Futurama. Most of the original cast had re-signed to come back and return, except for one John DiMaggio, who played Bender. You could also argue is the standout character in that show. He very famously came public and said that, hey, like, I didn't like the negotiations, I didn't like the pay, so I'm not doing it. And they were looking like Hulu was gonna recast the role. We weren't sure it was gonna happen. Then it kind of brought up the conversation, the bigger topic of just how voice actors get paid, because it's no secret that they make significantly less than their live action counterparts. And it was kind of just up in the air as to what was gonna happen with this character and with his role. But he tweeted just a couple days ago, "I'm back, baby," the popular quote, and it appears that John DiMaggio and Hulu worked out a deal, and he'll come back as Bender after all. Which we theorized. We were like, there's still a good chance that he probably ends up figuring something out. But Bender Gate is over, Greg, as they dubbed it.
I did. It was great that he went. That he was transparent and why he didn't come back. But I'm really curious now, like what his number was to make him get back, because there's no way in hell he's gonna tweet that, because he's probably embarrassed. He's getting 400,000 an episode or something ridiculous, you know, like.
Yeah, I wonder. It's interesting because I remember when he put out his statement originally, he's also mentioned in there, he's like, this isn't just like, he's like, I don't think that I'm the only person that deserves to make more. I think that all the actors on the show should be making more than what they are. So I'm curious to see if, like, did everybody get renegotiated deals?
No.
Is everybody getting a pay boost? Or
No,
just him?
likely not. When they already signed on, they signed on, and then they came
Yeah.
in. He didn't, and that's fine. If you want more money, it's fine. But like, here's the thing: like, you have to have a soapbox to stand on. You have to have ground to stand on, and he's John DiMaggio. Like, that's his ground, right? He can do that. There's a lot of actors that
was
can't
gonna be
do
my
that.
point. Yep. I was gonna say you have to be in a certain place career-wise and success-wise to even do what he did, right? Because I'm sure there might be a couple other voice actors on that show that are like, I mean, damn, I would have liked a bigger contract too, but like, if I didn't agree to sign, that just would have been it. Like, I just wouldn't have gotten the job, and they would have moved on.
Yeah, did you? It's really crazy how that happens too. I mean, do you remember the voice acting controversy? I want to say felt like a decade ago. Remember where like it was Chris Sabat and all these huge big namers were going on strike because they want to be paid more.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it was successful, but the problem is it only helped the top 1% of that acting category, right? So it helped your Matt Mercers, helped your Anthony John, like it helped the people who had huge names for themselves get more money, which is fine, you know, get that money. It's what capitalism's all about. I just feel so bad for like all the smaller voice actors, you know what I mean, that don't have that ground to stand on, you know, that we don't need you, we can hire someone else that sounds just like you know what I mean, that kind of stuff. Because I've been there with editing, you know, we don't need to pay you your day rate. This high school student will do it for free, and it's just like, that sucks. But that's just a thing in the world. It's not necessarily pigeonholed to voice acting. But yeah, I mean, know your value is what he said in the tweet, basically. But like, as John DiMaggio saying, "Know your value" is kind of funny, I think. You know what I mean?
It's interesting because I don't know if we'll ever get the actual number right, unless like an outlet finds out and reports on it. But he'll never say it, and Hulu will definitely never say it. But it's interesting nonetheless. I mean, it caused quite a stir because, I mean, it's not like controversial to say, like, Bender is like that's the first face you think of when you think Futurama. That's the first voice you hear in your head. So the thought of them coming back without his character, I mean, that also gave him a good amount of leverage, right? Because you would imagine that's like the last character they would want to lose or have to recast. I know they talked all in public, like, oh, we'll just find somebody else for the role. But yeah, then on the inside they're like, shit, like you can't do Futurama without Bender. I don't imagine. I mean, selling people on these revivals and reboots in 2022, it's already a hard enough sell and to be successful with it. And if they had brought the show back without like its biggest punch, they would have been very much behind the eight ball. So that
No,
definitely gave him a lot of
yeah,
power.
we're stuck in the. You keep saying like I think even Donovan could you a Gen Zer even be getting tired of all the reboots and remakes? Or is the postmodern feedback loop reaching its max velocity?
No, if you haven't been able to tell by watching 56 episodes of this show, I'm very optimistic with this stuff. I don't hate reboots and like that whole like culture thing, just because I mean I'm one of those people that's like the original's always there. Like it's no one, they didn't delete it, they didn't like edit it, unless you're talking about like the special edition Star Wars movies. But like they're usually all still there. I mean I like it when they're good. I love it when they reboot stuff and it's good. I thought Halloween was like a great reboot. I talked about like iCarly. I'm like that was like a good revival. But when it's bad, I think it's like Jesus Christ, why are we doing this? And we don't really know much about the Futurama reboot. I mentioned it when we first talked about it. I wasn't like a big Futurama fan. I was definitely too young to be watching it anyway. But I thought it was neat. It certainly wasn't like my like adult animated show that I was watching, but I can definitely recognize how huge it was.
It was a slow burn, and a lot of people don't like it. I mean, I know Epic Wizard doesn't care for it. My friend Nick hates it. And that's okay. I mean, it's not for everybody. I can't remember if if it's King of the Hill. Trev, you hate King of the Hill too, right? I can't remember. Like there's certain there's certain animated stuff that just rubs people the wrong way. Whether it's the way the jokes are told or the themes and stuff. And I totally get that. And it drives 8-Bit Wizard nuts because like me and Dave are always quoting it, and he's just like, "I'm leaving if you quote it one more time." I'm like, "Sorry."
No, for sure. I find the animated stuff, like the animated adult stuff, is super divisive, right? Because even if you look at, like the basic ones, like Family Guy, right? Where like Family Guy was like such a phenomenon, but then there's people that just hate that show. It's the most like unfunny program they've ever watched, and I think it speaks to like just the animation, but then also just, I mean, obviously comedy is super subjective, right? It's like one of the most subjective parts of entertainment. Because you can watch like, I mean, I know it's not animation, but like The Office, right? Where we could gush over The Office, hilarious show, but like I know people that are like, I can't watch it. Like it's so painfully unfunny for them to watch because the whole dry humor thing just does not work for them. Like it doesn't matter how clever it is or whatnot. Like it's just not their thing.
So you don't like you do like The Office, or you don't like The Office?
I love The Office.
Okay.
I love The Office, but I know people that are like, I can't stand it, and I'm like, I think that show's brilliant, but they're like, it just the dry humor thing doesn't work for them. But to me, I think it's hilarious. And I think you see that a lot with these shows as well. And then I also think the animation styles and some of them can put people off. Like we talked about, like Aqua Teen Hunger Force is one I brought up in here. I was like, I don't like that show. And I think it's just the way it looked. Like as a kid, I was like, that show looks really weird. Like I just don't want to watch it. I don't want it on my screen. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's The Office isn't. It's I guess it's been coined because Trev and I love The Office. We quote it all the time. But it's coined cringe humor, I think is what it's called, is what people are calling it, where it's just like it's so awkward, it's hard. Like Scott's Tots, like that whole episode is really hard to watch because it's just building and building. You're like, this is so bad, but you can't help but laugh, right? It's just how it is. And some people really like that dry, diversive cringe humor, and some people can't stand it. You know, so it like I said, everything's an acquired taste, especially with comedy.
Yeah, it is. Comedy is definitely a different beast. But I don't know. I mean, I'm curious to see when the show comes out. I know they were talking about like table read was like last week, so I guess they got to get a Mr. DiMaggio caught up there. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the show looks like. The rebooted.
I mean, like they've canceled and rebooted it several times. It feels like, and it was always good when it came back. Like I enjoyed watching it when it came back. Mm-hmm. The best part of the prison was the Dementors. Sorry. All right.
Oh man. We started going.
We're clicking off that. That way we don't get, because we'll start quoting it. No, yeah. So like, I mean, it'll be good, I'm sure. Like I said, I'm really more curious about the writing. I think the writing is how shows like this really shine. Is if you bring the writers back. If you don't bring the writers back, you might have a lot of dud jokes, especially with humor, because it's really hard to do. Look at SNL. SNL is a great example. So many of their sketches are hit and miss. Like you never know what's going to take off and be the next like viral sketch, right? You never know what's going to be the next cheerleading sketch or the next Night at the Roxbury sketch. You know, you just have to keep throwing it at the wall. That's actually a really good example of like comedy. If you want to watch like cutting edge on the wall comedy, watch Saturday Night Live. Like just watch it.
Yeah, and I've heard. Damn, I'm trying to think. There was somebody that used to be on SNL that I just heard in like an interview, like a couple months ago. But he was talking about that kind of thing where he's like you write these sketches like every day, and he's
Yeah.
like you don't know if they're good or not until you perform them. And he's like, I
Yep.
remember like the first time I wrote a sketch and we went out there and performed it, and the audience was like dead silent. He's like, I wanted to die inside.
Yeah.
And then he was like, it doesn't get better. He's like, then it happened 100 more times and I got over it.
Yeah.
But he's like, but those nights when everybody loves it is like you feel like a king. So it's yeah, comedy is seems to be quite a tough business, which is that's why I don't do it. I'm not a funny guy.
I'm not funny.
Very straight.
I'm not a funny guy, really straight.
I'm very straight laced and serious around here. But you know what else is kind of funny, Greg? A little bit's funny about this, I guess. Kind of funny in a morbid way. But AMC, big movie just came out today. I guess technically yesterday, if you want like the fan screenings or whatever. But the Batman is out this week. It's in theaters. Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves. Probably gonna do big numbers. But AMC, one of the most prominent theater chains in North America, straight up said that they're charging more money for tickets to go see the Batman than they are for other films. And this comes from AMC CEO Adam Aaron, who I already know is a bit of a polarizing figure. But here's the direct quote from him from Deadline. Currently, our prices for the Batman are slightly higher than the prices we are charging for other movies playing in the same theater at the same time. He said this on an earnings call. And then he went on to say, this is all quite novel in the United States, but actually AMC has been doing it for years in our European theaters. Indeed, in Europe, we charge a premium for the best seats in the house, as do just about all sellers of tickets in other industries. Take sports events, concerts, and live theater, for example, Aaron said. And he said this, Greg, and let me know if you're surprised here, but people were very upset about this when he said it. And understandably so, because it's the idea of like surge pricing movies is something that people have kicked around for years now. They're like, because obviously we've talked about how like the theater industry is dying and it's not getting any healthier, and the pandemic certainly didn't do it any favors. And that's been one thing that people have always like brought up was like, what if they did surge pricing? What if like tickets to see the Avengers were like $25, and then you could go see indie movies for like $8? And the reality has always been like, yeah, they'll charge more for the big movies, but like, are they really going to cut prices for the cheaper movies?
Yeah.
I think that's my problem here is that like, okay, you're raising tickets to see Batman, but like if I want to go see Licorice Pizza or like an A24 film or something, like the prices are still gonna be like a $17 ticket. You're not making those cheaper, which I think is pretty crappy.
I mean, I've done that before. Toward my later college days, like if I wanted to see a movie and I knew the movie was going to make a shit ton of money, I would buy a ticket for another movie and then go see that one to give the smaller movie my money, and then go see the other movie. I would do that, and then like stick it to the man. And these movies, I mean, they're huge. Like they made money. They didn't lose money. Like so don't come at me with that. But I mean, bold move, Colin. Let's see if it pays off for him. I mean, the theater's already technically struggling, especially when I grew up in even you. I know you didn't really grow up in it, but I grew up in a realm where it would take 6 months to get to VHS from a theater release. Half a year, 6 to 8 months to see it. Like now you have to wait 30 days? Like, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, this stuff is really, it's getting real. It's changing. Like we're in the middle of that change, and where do you not want to be in Mario Kart, Donovan? In the middle, because you're getting hit with everything. You want to be at the tail end or the way front. You don't want to be in the middle. And like this is where the theaters are right now. So it's a bold move. I think it's gonna affect them negatively. I think people might just say, "I'll wait to see it on demand on HBO Max," because I'm sure it's gonna come on HBO Max in 4 weeks. So
it's a bit of a head scratcher to me because I'm like, now of all times, like there couldn't be a worse time to announce that you're going to do this.
Oh yeah,
like,
it's a bold strategy. That's all I'm going to say.
Theaters are already like begging people to come back to the movie theater, like still in the pandemic, but theaters and stuff have reopened. Like theaters are dying for that business, and we've only seen a very small handful of movies be successful. I mean, like Spider-Man was an exception. I know there were a couple of big ones. I know like Scream did really well, but like a lot of movies have been seeing poor performance in theaters because of the pandemic, because people don't want to go back out to the movie theaters, which is understandable. So for AMC to be like, yeah, we're actually going to charge even more money for tickets to these movies that people are already like contemplating if they want to come see in the first place, I'm like, how is that a good decision at all? I mean, I don't know the first thing about business, but I'm like,
I know enough. I mean, I know enough to know that when you have a product you sell or a service, and if people aren't going, you don't raise prices. You know what I mean? It's kind of like how Disneyland, Disneyland raised prices, everyone complained, but at the same time,
Mm,
when you look at their analytics for their business, it's because people were continuing to pay those prices. It didn't matter, right? They were selling tickets like crazy, so they raised their prices, and they're still selling tickets like crazy. When you're already struggling, you
yeah,
generally don't want to charge more for something if you're not sure how it's going to end up, and
yeah,
that's like business 101. If you have a product and it's not selling, usually you reduce the price, and the writing can be on the wall that way, and then increasing the price is interesting. I mean,
no,
you think you want to get people in the theater, right? So they would buy your stupid
yeah,
popcorn and stuff. Like that's where they make a lot of them more, but they make 50% of the ticket price, 50%, 60%, 40 to 60% depending on the contracts for the distribution, right? Goes to the theater. So half. We'll say make it easy, half. But and then
yeah.
concessions is 100%. So wouldn't you want to lower the price of the ticket to get people in to buy? Like that would be the smart thing for me. But maybe he has data that we don't have access to. Maybe he's seen that people miss going to the movies, and like there's more people going to the movies, and there are more sold out things than anything else. But the one thing is mistaken. The Batman is not Spider-Man Far From Home. It's not. Like it's just No Way Home. It's just not. Like it's not the same scale. It's not the same level at all. Like it's. I bet the budget was probably a third of what it is, which is still astronomical, but like it's just not the same type of movie. I don't think you're gonna get away with it. I think people are gonna wait. And from what I've read, it's getting heavily mixed reviews. People are saying it's the greatest Batman film ever, and people are saying it's sloppy and busy, and it's all over the place.
I'm curious as to what you think about the old quote in here from AMC CEO, where he says that like it's a similar model to like what other entertainment industries do, like concert tickets or like sports games, where it's like the better the seat, the more expensive it is.
Oh yeah.
How do you feel about that as it applies to movie theater seating?
Oh, people love. I mean, let's just look at Ticketmaster. People love Ticketmaster. Don't they just love Ticketmaster? What could possibly go wrong? It's a disaster.
Yeah,
I think it's a disaster waiting to happen. I think AMC at this point is a meme. The business is a meme. The stock is a meme. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe he's blowing smoke, but hey, it's working because we're talking about it, right? So like everyone's talking about AMC and the Batman, and that's trending, and there's no bad press, right?
yeah. I don't know. Like I mentioned up top, like I was, Adam Aaron is not a very favored CEO, so I don't know. But I saw this come across my talent suite. I'm like, that is so stupid. It's very like I don't know, bonehead decision to me. But I'm sure we'll see. We'll probably be talking about an announcement of this being reversed or something in 4 to 6 months. I have no idea.
I mean, I'm
Um,
sure people are thankful that it comes to streaming. The streaming's been great. I know one of our viewers has kids, and he always has to. Sometimes you have to pre-screen the movie, but that's expensive because now you're going to see a movie with your friends or your wife, right? And you pay the price, and then you have to go make sure it's okay for your kids, then go back again with your kids. It's like a double dipping thing. So I think at home streaming is great because you can preview the movie at home and see if it's good or not. You know?
yeah, exactly. And Greg, speaking of watching movies at home, we watch movies at home with our audience once a month here on the Shacknews Twitch channel. A little thing we call movie nights with Pop Goes the Culture. We do it on the final Friday of every month, and we just did our second one last week. We watched Napoleon Dynamite. It was a fun stream. Greg ordered me some tacos, which I quite enjoyed.
Well, you gotta
We had
explain
a
the
bunch of
taco though.
clips.
Why did I order you tacos?
Yes, Greg ordered tacos because I won a bet that we placed when the new Scream movie was coming out. He bet me that a certain character would be the killer in it. I told him that wouldn't happen, in my PS5, and I was correct. So I got to eat some nice beef tacos with our movie. It was a lot of fun.
It was carne asada. Did they give you beef? Those sons of bitches.
Oh wait, maybe I don't
They
know.
conned me.
Maybe it was carne asada. I'm not good with my food lingo. Maybe that's probably exactly what it was.
I paid a premium for
But
carne asada. I paid it. I
uh
paid the premium. Beef.
carne asada
Asada.
tacos that I enjoyed here with on stream. And we love if you come and hang out with us during these movie nights. Again, last Friday of every month, which means the one for March will be somewhere around the late 20s, maybe even 30s, if the weeks fall like that on the calendar. And I don't know what we're gonna watch this month. Probably something older again. We'll probably go back to like 80s, 90s,
Super Troopers.
2000s.
Super Troopers. Super Troopers.
Uh,
Super Troopers.
we could do Super Troopers. We'll do we'll probably do a poll again as we did with the Napoleon Dynamite. We'll pick like 3 or 4 movies and we'll throw them up on Twitter. Have you guys vote, and we'll watch it. Anything's pretty much on the table as long as it's on Amazon Prime Video. So feel free to hit us with recommendations if there's some stuff on there. And of course, this is all about connecting with the community more. And speaking of community, you should follow the stream. You should, I don't know, maybe even turn on notifications so you're notified when
Sadie, get
new
in
streams
here.
start.
She's
I'm
meowing.
like, is there? I thought there was like a ghost in your house, just the way you turned around.
There was a ghost that used the bathroom that one time. It was spooky.
Yeah, that was funny. I was waiting for something to just like enter your room the way you turned around there. But
Sadie! She's yowling.
oh, there she goes. But yes, folks, be sure follow, subscribe. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you watch those movie nights with us. You can subscribe to our channel at no additional cost. It's called Prime Gaming. You get a free sub every month. That's $5 of Amazon bucks right to Shacknews. Even though I think Amazon takes half of it. Either way, we appreciate the support. And then Greg here, as I mentioned up top, does all of our YouTube stuff, which you can find youtube.com/ShackNewsGames and Gamer Hub videos. Greg, what's cracking on the YouTube channel this week? Anything
Lots
going
of
on?
gameplay. We have lots of game, and a lot of it's under embargo, so I'm not sure what I can say about it. But we have some Chocobo GP racing gameplay up there. We have some other new releases coming up soon. Again, I don't know what I can say. So keep lots of gameplay this weekend, and the Kirby demo will be going up shortly after this as well, so people can look at some stuff. Hi,
Kirby demo that just came out today. Yeah, so again, we got a lot of great stuff up there. Like I mentioned in recent weeks, I was like watching Greg's Pokemon card pack openings, but there's a good variety of content up there. Whether it's gameplay, interviews, reviews, there's something for you up there. And of course, we're just happy to have you watching and reading. And Greg, our next story is going to touch on a very worldly topic. Several major Hollywood studios, this is kind of a collection of a bunch of different news stories into one, because it just makes sense to do it like this, have pulled their films from release in Russia. As I'm sure everyone knows, the Russian invasion of Ukraine has been going on for around a week, maybe a little bit over a week at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It was very late February that it started. They first started to invade and attack locations within Ukraine. It's still a very active and ongoing conflict, and outside of just the political and economic ramifications, we've even seen entertainment industries respond. We've seen it in gaming and in film. So you've got Universal, Paramount, Sony, Disney, Warner Brothers have all pulled upcoming films from release in Russia as a means of just protest and boycott. But just to name some titles here for you, you got Morbius on the Sony front, the Batman as far as Warner Brothers is concerned, and then Turning Red, which is Pixar, or Disney by way of Pixar. Just as a few titles that are being pulled from release in Russia. All of these are about to come out quite soon, I believe. And I don't think there's any planned release date. I think it's just kind of until further notice, we're not releasing these movies in that territory. Which,
I mean, it's super interesting. It's super interesting. I mean, the way you can like support, like before, it was either like send support, like either send money or the Red Cross or some kind of like NATO would go in and help or whatever. But like now, other countries can and other businesses can actually do things like ruin their stock market or not release films or not release video games or give free Starlink access. I think Elon Musk is like giving Starlink access to everyone in Ukraine. Like it's really interesting how you can how you can mess with a country just if you don't like what they're doing, and it doesn't have to be aggressive or physical in any way. You know what I mean? It can just be like, well, you're not getting any of the new movies then, or you're not getting any of the new games. I mean, it's fascinating because this is the first real time we've had, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not a war expert, but the first time we've had a situation like this where everyone has had smartphones. So but it's also dangerous because there's so much false information out there going everywhere. But at the same time, there's also like people recording things that are happening in the streets and stuff like that. And my only advice to people, if you're confused about what's happening, is try to find specifically conflict journalists and like follow them. I try to get my information on CNN. I feel like any press outlet's going to give crap for whatever, but that's where I try to get my information about this. But, try to stick with that. It's really interesting. It wants to ban all Russian players. Yeah, I guess it's almost like you can mess with the economy to make someone stop doing something rather than have to put boots on the ground people and like have a firefight or troops, or strikes or whatever. Like you can do other things to try to dissuade a country, which is interesting. I don't know how this will go. I hope it is resolved quickly
Hmm.
and non-violently as much as it can be. But yeah,
I
it's crazy.
I was gonna say, I did. Yeah, I think you should definitely get your news from a handful of sources. Find the ones that that you believe to be reliable or that are reliable, and then yeah, just as far as like this being like the modern conflict in the digital age,
Hmm.
I mean, there's definitely been stuff in the era of selfhood and whatnot. If you want to talk about like all the conflict in the Middle East and whatnot, um, I know a lot of uh, yeah. So also brings up a good point versus any of this working. There's a point I wanted to bring up, right? Because some concerns I've seen going around, there's people saying like when you do stuff like this, you're only really hurting like the civilians because it's like I mean Putin isn't like I don't think he was planning on going to see the Batman this weekend or getting on like FIFA 22 anytime soon. Um,
I think the goal
so
is to make the citizens of the country angry enough that they overthrow him. Maybe like
yeah,
maybe that's like the
well
end game thing here. I mean that's how you overthrow dictators, right? Either with help from other countries or you revolt. So
it's definitely to yeah to get like I guess the civilians to pay attention to what's going on. But I don't know, just being on social media, I've seen like where people have posted. I think like Netflix canceled all their projects out
hmm
there and was isn't even letting people like pay through certain means anymore for their service. I saw that like one of the a bunch of credit card not was it credit card companies or banks or something stopped a lot of people from using their credit cards. And you saw like people lined up in a subway, and it's like man, like a lot of like simple aspects of society like start to fall really fast when people start like hitting switches and turning things on and
yeah,
off.
yeah.
Which certainly should raise some concerns just about like where the power lies and what makes the wheels turn
The
here.
big wheel
But I do
turns, but it can stop at any given time. Some of these CEOs and companies have a lot of power and they own a lot of subsidiaries, so you'd be surprised what they could stop shipping to you, you know,
yeah. So
or
I think
producing.
there's definitely some worthwhile conversations to be had just off the entertainment aspect of it. Not even talk about the human cost of the whole thing. Um, and I see TJ Denier chatting here.
Hmm.
So they sent in young people to Ukraine. TJ said the people that control massive amounts of money in Russia, seeing their bottom lines disrupted, could spur them to make moves that disrupt Putin. Yeah, and I think that's the plan. It's just a question of how far does that go? And yeah, like I was just saying, the wrong people are suffering from Putin's actions. Like yeah, like I think I saw, I think was it a Valorant team or it was an esports team in one league got like said they weren't going to be invited to any future events. So it's certainly concerning, and I'm like you, Greg. Like the hope is that it just doesn't last long. Like that this shit gets resolved
Hmm.
as soon as possible. Um, but I don't know. I really don't think as harsh as it is. I don't really think that Vladimir Putin cares. To
No,
be
he
quite
probably
honest, that
doesn't. But
people are doing that shit with.
if you can make enough of like the military angry at the leader making the order, then they could just revolt. I guess maybe that's the end game plan is make life so miserable in Russia because Putin doesn't care about anything, and then the military's like, I'm not listening to you anymore, and then you have this huge coup. The Batman's not here, damn it. We're so angry we're
Oh
gonna
yeah,
not
yeah.
listen to him anymore. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard, especially in America. Like talked about the false information is so rampant. I've read that Putin's invading because he's crazy. I've read that it's because of agriculture, like he wants to grow food there, and like it's. I've seen 20 different reasons why he's invading, and it's insane. Like we shouldn't have that much information. This should be all one concise thing. Like this is why he's invading, or this is why he might be invading. It's weird, weird time.
Them's is politics. That is politics in major media.
Ban
But
Russian cats.
just to keep it
That'll show them.
just
Ban international Russian cats from competing. Oh jeez.
but just to keep it in the realm of entertainment and stuff, Danny mentioned he's like money talks, especially when folks
Yes.
are losing out on cash
Mm-hmm.
flow. Yeah, and I imagine that's like the end goal here. And I don't know how long it'll take for those ramifications to actually be felt. Uh, we'll have to wait a bit and see. But I know someone mentioned earlier that like I think the Russian vice prime minister even like directly like called on Xbox and PlayStation to do something potentially like shutting down their services in Russia. So I have to say I know that like the Pokemon company donated like $200,000 and whatnot, and I'm sure they'll get into that stuff on the dump tomorrow. So I don't want to get too far into the video game aspect of it, but it's definitely like an ongoing situation. Something that we'll probably have just as much more to add and talk about next week's show. but something worth bringing up here. It's definitely an ongoing
No, it's an
crisis.
ongoing crisis. It's gonna, like Osip said, it's gonna be It's gonna go on for a long time. This isn't not gonna be over like anytime soon, and there's gonna be a lot of red tape and paper and politics that get involved. Mainly because
Mhm.
Russia's nuclear power, and that's something a lot of people are afraid of, and I don't blame them. Like, that's, you push someone to a corner, and especially someone like Putin who doesn't give a shit about like human life or people. Like, he would press the button, if he lost. You know what I mean? That's not good.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah,
it's not good at all. So, well, like,
yeah,
just stay tuned. Try to find a trusted source and stick to that source if you can. Stay educated, stay informed, all that good stuff.
yeah. And we will be here talking about the sillier stuff of
Yeah,
the
the
whole
the
thing.
low
But
key. We're journalists, but we're not like political journalists, so we don't cover the like super
enter,
controversial things.
entertainment enthusiasts we are. And Greg, to transition ourselves forward into our next topic, talking about entertainment. Um, one of the more popular or at least well-known entertainers of the modern era. Oh wait, we gotta. Yeah, I also mentioned South Park this week was about Russia.
I haven't seen it yet, but the concept of it sounds amazing. So, a lot is riding on Butter's ability to crush the competition in the all important Dressage Championship. Watch an all new episode Back to the Cold War for free now. So I have to watch it. I have not watched it yet, but they're brilliant over there. Matt Stone and Trey Parker are absolutely brilliant writers. They always have really good takes on modern events and controversies and politics. So if you haven't had to be able
Yeah,
to check it
they're
out, you can watch it on their site for free, and I think it's on HBO Go, or it might be on Peacock now. I know South Park is on HBO Go, but the new episodes may be on Peacock, I think. So I'm not sure.
maybe it's weird. They're quite fast with their turnaround. They're very timely with their production, and maybe you can review that for us next week when we hear Greg.
I
Um,
do like South Park.
we have a,
Go.
we have a bit of a weirder story here. So they're working on a biopic about Madonna, which is what I was talking about. I'm like somebody that's quite a well-known entertainer. And while biopics about famous people isn't like anything out of the ordinary, although we've had a lot that we've talked about lately,
We have.
just between like the Elvis and the Weird Al biopic that they're working on. But what's weird about this one is like they're still casting it, and so people have described like their process now for like looking for the actress to play Madonna as an 11-hour boot camp. They said that they've had them like in multi-hour choreography sessions, like singing with Madonna. Like this is that they're putting them through like this very grueling process, Greg, to find the one true actress that's fit to play the prestigious role of Madonna. And they've got some like names in here, people that have been in there: Julia Garner, Florence Pugh, Alexa Demi. But I don't know, I thought that was pretty bizarre for a movie that's for it to
I
have
mean,
such an intense
I mean, how much do
hiring
you know about
process.
Madonna, the person?
Madonna, man, I'm not a Madonna fan,
I
so
mean,
not a lot.
my wife is, and I can tell you, like, Madonna is very meticulous, very weird, and she has weird routine. I mean, it's like, I talked this before the show, like something about like when you break capitalism and you just win, and you have like so much money, you don't know what to do with it. Like something in your brain just like breaks for some people, and you're just like, well, I have billions of dollars, like I guess I could just be weird. Like, because you don't know what else to do. It's like putting the cheat code in a video game, and after a while, you're going to get bored and do stuff like, go blow up cars or climb a building, just do random weird stuff. It's so weird. That's something about these actors and these celebrities that have so much money, their brain like snaps, and they're just like, well, I'm going to wrap myself in like saran wrap in a mud bath every night so I look like I'm super, like, she has really weird routines. She's really weird. Never met her. I've just read that she has really weird routines. Like, she doesn't have physical relations with her partners, or like very seldomly does, because she's worried about like how it's going to like wreck her body. It's crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
I don't know much about Madonna. I just remember when she kissed Drake on stage and he looked disgusted, like somebody had just poured like dinosaur vomit into his mouth. That was pretty hilarious. That was like 6 or 7 years ago at this point.
I don't
But
think Madonna might be on the
US
production squires, but she's
no,
definitely getting feedback on who plays her. I
no,
guarantee it.
that's what I'm trying to speak to now. She is on the production.
Mm-hmm.
According to sources, it says it's an 11-hour day choreography sessions with Madonna's choreographer, after which there are choreography sessions with Madonna herself, and then there are callbacks, which consist of readings with Madonna, as well as singing auditions with the singer as well. So it seems that she's very involved, at least in the hiring process. Um, and then somebody on the set, or a part of the project, was saying that you have to do everything, which I don't know. It's very weird sounding, but I guess not too out of the box for somebody who
It also makes me
does
like, I
everything.
mean, if you want to see if you want to get the real story, like find a documentary with a reputable filmmaker that tells the story of a celebrity, because biopics, they always tend to favor the celebrity as a hero and they'll leave out all the flaws and all the shitty things that they've done. And I don't think that's right. Like, this, if you want to make a movie about yourself, it should be true to you. But like, if someone was representing me, I wouldn't want the bad parts in the movie. I just want the good parts. So I get on that flip side too. But watch a documentary,
Yeah,
like about Madonna, like that actually like details her life and her challenges and her flaws. Like that's going to be more. Biopics are so misleading, can be so manipulative, and we've talked about that in the show last week too. With like the word, like you're worried because they want to be painted in a good light. You're not going to get like the Elvis one, right? They're not going to talk about how he stole music from people of color or like, you know, was inspired by that generation. It's going to act like he invented it all and he's the hero. You know what I mean? Like for his estate, because they want him to paint him in a good light, and that's manipulative. I don't like that. But
yeah, no, I'm definitely right there with you. I mentioned it last week, I think, but I love a good biopic, but they can be a bit shameless when things get fudged on the production side. And I don't know. I mean, I don't care about Madonna, so I'm not like excited about the Madonna biopic. But I did think that this story of this behind the scenes production story was pretty interesting, to say the very least. And Greg, speaking of very weird stories, our next and last like news story here. So Netflix has a show called Lupin, based on a series of books, I believe. It's a French show, and recently the show was shooting its latest season. I was on February 25th, and
so
they had
fucked.
$330,000 worth of props
It's so
and
fucked.
equipment
It's
stolen,
so fucked up.
stolen from stolen from set. Yeah, they were shooting the third season. They were in Paris. And the weirdest part is this isn't even the first time that a Netflix like production has been robbed. People did that to The Crown. Wait, is The Crown? No, The Crown isn't Netflix, is it? I
It's just
forget.
another production, yeah.
But yeah, it's another show that, like, yeah, The Crown, where they stole like 200K worth of stuff. But looking at the Collider article here, this is on the 25th.
Mhm.
They said that the cast and crew were still present when this happened. Which, I mean, luckily they said nobody was hurt. But they said around 20 thieves arrived on set and began throwing mortar fireworks as a distraction. And then during the attack, the thieves, all the faces covered, stole nearly 330 grand worth of equipment from the set and like the production trucks and whatnot. And I don't know, it's fucking bizarre. They say the show's already restarted production since this happened, but like, what kind of shit is this? Like,
It's
who
it's
who
sets are
20 people? That's a lot of people to like collectively
it
decide to
is.
rob a set.
It is, but there could be hundreds of people on a set at once, and all of them. If you, I don't know if you've ever been on a real movie set, but like all of them are in different departments. There's different sections. There's craft services. There's the armor. Sometimes there's even
Yeah.
post production if they're doing stuff on set with that. There's a lot of departments kind of all over the place. And if you walk on that set and look like you're busy and you know like look like you belong there, like it's people are just going to ignore you. You know what I mean? Because everyone's doing their own thing. Everyone has their own job they're assigned to, and that's what they're paying attention to. And it can be crazy. Sets can be crazy. So this is a case of just not enough security on set. Basically, they probably had security guards, but just not enough to keep it out.
I mean,
Because people are moving in and out of trucks all the time, and you don't know everybody on the set. Like I said, there's little cliques of like there's like the union and the grip guys, the lighting team, and all that stuff. It's not just like the director and the actors and like a few camera people. There in a real production, there are hundreds of people on set. So it's really easy to walk onto a set like you belong there and just kind of grab stuff and leave. Like you'd be really surprised how easy that is. You just got to act like you belong there.
Yeah, and I mean, even if there's security, like, what do you do when 20 people start throwing fucking mortar fireworks in the sky? Like, I wouldn't.
They look
I
up and they
wouldn't
get
try
through the
to.
line, and then they get to the truck and they grab
Yeah,
the SD cards and
I
everything
wouldn't.
that's not traceable. And
It's bizarre. And TJ says, "What if this is just the absolutely stupidest on-brand publicity stunt?" So yeah, there's like some irony in here, Greg. I don't know if you know the show like Lupin, but it's about like a thief. Like they do heists and stuff. Like that's the whole show. So there is some irony that like 20 people just like fucking robbed their set in essentially broad daylight.
it also says a
Um,
lot about our world today when we have to look at a headline from the Collider and be like, is this real or is this a publicity stunt? Because like what evidence, like Netflix claims that stuff was stolen, but like, you know what I mean? Like we don't know. That's really
mm,
sad about our culture. Like we have to question if it's a PR stunt. I hate that stuff. I hate when they do that stuff. If it is, that's terrible.
Yeah,
And if it is,
yeah.
and
I
if
mean,
it's not, it's terrible. Like, it's terrible either way.
yeah, yeah. I don't think it was, but I do think it's worth pointing out the irony, though, regardless that this is on Lupin. But just the like bizarre story, man. People are fucking weird, and I wonder like if they'll catch at least some of these people that are involved. Because I mean, they said they stole like equipment and stuff from the set. Like, what are they gonna do with it? Like, are you gonna sell it? Are you gonna take like your Hollywood camera to the pawn shop and sell it?
Nah,
Wouldn't they be
they
able to like catch these people if they started selling that stuff?
they probably grabbed tools, like because it doesn't specify what was stolen. Just says 300 worth of props. It could be tools, it could be clothes, it could be just anything. They can just grab whatever they think might be able to resell or might something that, because you can't sell like, hey, I have this jacket used on the set of Lupin. You know, I'm trying to sell this. Like, there's a
Yeah,
whole black market of this stuff, and if they're stealing camera equipment, it says props in the article, but if they're stealing camera equipment,
it's
lights
a props
and
like
stuff like
equipment.
that, tripods, like stuff like that can go for a lot of money, and they're not really traceable. The camera's traceable. The camera has a serial number, so it's hard. That's hard to sell. But everything else, like tripods, lights, stands, that stuff is really easy to move because it's so expensive. So if you have a $500 stand and you're like, hey, how you want this $50? Some independent college student's gonna buy it. Because, you know what I mean? So I mean, there is a thing for it, but yeah, it says it was mostly props in the article. So I don't know what kind of props you would value, but over 300,000, like, what kind of props does a show like Lupin have? That's like, you know,
I don't know, maybe like jewelry and stuff, but even then, you
maybe.
would think it'd be like prop jewelry, which is, you would assume isn't very expensive. But I don't know, it's bizarre. I'm very curious if we get an update on the story in the future if they catch anybody, because criminals aren't always the brightest people. So I'm
No.
sure there's gonna be like out of these 20 people, I'm sure one of these guys is gonna walk into like a pawn shop in Los Angeles and try to like sell a like Netflix prop or whatnot. But we'll see, and I'm sure we'll talk about it if it does indeed happen. Now, everybody, that was about all of our news stories that we had, but that's only really just the first half of our show because we have some other stuff to get to. Uh, we like to talk about reviews. I know I've watched some stuff the last handful of days. I can get in. Actually, I'll get into a review that I've got for something that I'm interested in talking about, and then I'll open the floor, Greg, if you have any shows or movies
Hmm.
you wanted to talk about. But I watched the show, not show, a movie last weekend called No Exit. It's brand new. I believe it was on Hulu. We watched, and essentially, Greg, No Exit is about a woman who's trying to like get to the hospital to see her mother. Uh, then she gets caught in a snowstorm. Can't drive anymore, so she pretty much has to like stop at this like small like log little rest stop. Very tiny place. There's like five or six other people there, and she pretty much has to just kind of like hold up in there until the weather gets better and she can like hit the road again, see her mother in the hospital. And she gets there and like everyone's chilling, and then she like goes outside, and essentially, and everything I'm saying is in the trailer. I'm not really spoiling. Uh, Pretty much she discovers that like in the back of one of their cars is like a kidnapped child, like just sitting in the back of somebody's car, like duct tape, like wrapped up, like screaming for help. So then she pretty much has to like figure out, a, who kidnapped this child, like what the hell's going on, and trying to fix this stuff. And apparently, it's based on a novel, as I'm learning now for the first time watching this trailer. Because I didn't even see the trailer to it. I just read the synopsis and threw it on. But I liked it. It was quite good. I think it's a great like contained thriller, which I talk about every now and then. But I love a contained story where it's just like from beginning to end, you've got like two or three max locations. Like there's a little bit of setup, but like 80% of this movie takes place in the cabin, and then there's like a little bit of stuff in the beginning and end. But it's great, and it's like very contained as far as characters go. It's very character driven. There's only like seven or eight uh, real actual characters in the story here. There's interesting like relationships and dynamics that they all play off of. They don't waste time getting into like the actual story of what's going on here and the mystery of it all. And it's pretty good. And they do a good job at like giving you multiple not twists, but just like wrinkles to the story. Because obviously, when you read the synopsis, you're like, okay, well, let me guess which character it is. Like that's the big reveal.
Hmm.
And yes, that's a part of it. But then it goes like a step further, and you're like, oh damn, okay, I didn't think they were gonna do that. Then it goes another step further, and you're like, damn, really, okay. And it like they take it several steps like beyond what I thought they were, which I really appreciated. Um, which, because of course, when you do like a whodunit kind of thing, everyone's always like, "Oh yeah, I knew it was this guy watching the trailer. I knew it was this woman like from this part." But I think they do a good job at kind of stringing you along. in adding to its mystery throughout, and it's got like some really good like intense scenes. Like if you just like the oh shit thriller stuff. Oh yeah, yes, Squires. That that is the Allstate guy in this movie, who I didn't know was an act. I mean, I know a lot of people in commercials do act, but I didn't know that he was in like a bunch of movies and stuff.
He's in a lot
But
of
yeah,
stuff.
that's the Allstate dude in this movie. He's good. I like his character in this movie. Um, I need to look up the name of the main actress because she is great. Um, but I would recommend it if you've got Hulu and you're looking for like a movie to throw on. It's not long. It's like an hour and 20 minutes maybe. Havana Rose Liu. She's great. She's very great in this movie. I was very impressed with the performance. I hadn't seen her in anything before. I thought she was great in this. Um, but yeah, Greg, I would recommend it if you are looking for a movie to throw on.
Well,
I think
like
it's worth it.
you say, like it kind of blows your mind several times. Does it go like without spoiling it? Does it go into like supernatural territory? Does it like take a turn from like drama to like supernatural? Because sometimes movies do that. It can be very successful or spectacularly terrible.
No, they keep it as pretty grounded. They
Okay,
keep
they
it as
keep it
grounded as
grounded.
possible. Yeah, more so the surprise I'm alluding to is more so just like just character motives and like intentions and just reveals and stuff. There's just there's more beyond this is the person that kidnapped the kid. Like there's more beyond that that goes into it, which I thought was pretty wild. But I would recommend it. It's a great quick watch if you're looking for a movie to throw with some friends. It's a fun group watch, or if you got like a friend or a partner to check it out with. It's good. I know we talk about a lot of blockbusters and franchise and stuff, and everyone complains that there's no original movies out. Like this is a well, I guess it's technically not original. It's based on a book, but this is a cool, relatively new property that most people haven't heard of
Hmm.
to check out.
It's a Hulu
I would,
original, correct? So they funded it and distributed it.
yeah, yep. It is one probably the only place you can watch it. I believe is on Hulu.
Is
It's
that
a good platform.
it's funny because you mentioned the Allstate guys in this. My wife was watching a reality show, and in that reality show was a
Uh-huh.
really big actor, and I can't remember his name at the moment. But I'm just like, that's that actor, and I looked him up, and he's actually been in a lot of stuff. But before this, like no one knew him. So it's just like this was a reality show, right? And then yeah, they have a huge actor in there because it just eliminates all of its credibility instantaneously. Still
Yeah,
entertaining, I
it's
guess, but yeah, pretending it's real is dumb. Or thinking it's real. But it sounds like you like the movie. What did you write a review on it on Cortex? What's it out of 10? 8 out of 10?
you know I didn't write it on Cortex, but maybe I should. I probably should write it one there, even just like a brief like you should check this out kind of thing. I'd give it like an eight, like a 7.5, 8. Like it's good. It doesn't really do much that like I think like oh that's stupid or that's bad. If I wanted to get like really nitpicky, there's a couple things where I'm like okay well like I don't know if a person would survive that, or I don't know if like a person would be fully functional after that, or like and that's just I mean that's you can do that in every movie really. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you want to be that person, you can draw those lines and be like oh I don't know about this part, but overall I thought it was really well done.
That's good.
I would yeah I did get no exit. Greg, did you have anything that you want to speak to
On this
potentially?
show, I give a lot of like sequels crap or like really popular films a lot of crap. But so I decided to actually go back and watch Despicable Me 1 through 3, and I just finished 2 last night, so I haven't watched 3 yet. It's not available on Netflix to watch. But I watched the first one again, and the first one's very cute. It's really well written. It has interesting characters. It has good pacing. It's very cartoony, like a Looney Tunes cartoon, which is kind of fun as well. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and I really enjoyed it. Second one is pretty forgettable. Like I just watched it last night. And I don't remember any of it. Like it was just really just forgettable. Like I don't know. Just it's not as good as the first one. But the one thing I'll say about both the movies is that I wish everyone took a cue from the Minions. Is where they serve a purpose and they're not overly used. You know, like certain things in certain films that are cute or obnoxious or loud, like they don't overuse them. Like they fit very well into the world. They're funny when they show up. They don't overstay their welcome, and they use them just enough for it to make sense. Brilliantly done. I wish other big companies would look at that, look at the Minions in those two movies, and be like, we should treat our porgs like this. Actually, have like a point to the story, not just to sell toys. Which would be interesting. But that's one thing I really took away from it. Was like I really like how they did the Minions. They're cute. They're funny. They're not used too much. They're just used enough. Mini Puffs are another example. Like those Mini Puffs serve no purpose to the whole story of Afterlife.
Mhm.
They're just there to sell toys, and it's so blatant. Obviously, now that the movie's been out for like 6 months, because they push that hard on social media, the Mini Puffs. But yeah, I mean, if something's in your film, it better have a reason to be there. You know, that's all I'm saying. It better have some kind of interconnected to the story. It has to have an important. It can't just be like a cameo. Cameos are fine, but I don't even know if people do those types of movies anymore. The Muppets used to do it all the time. You ever watched the old Muppet movies where like they had like A-list celebrities come in for like 2 lines and they would like leave. So, like Steve Martin was in the Muppet movie and a famous band was in the Muppet movie, and they say like their line and they leave. Like, I don't know if people still make movies like that anymore. You know what I mean? Like Free Guy, I guess, was kind of like that. Was the closest modern take, I think. Just a bunch of popular people.
You guy had a crap ton of like,
yeah, just coming in
high and by cameos.
Yeah, so you know, like stuff like that. But I don't really think they do movies like that anymore, which is fine. It's not a huge loss, but I really enjoyed that. My wife is watching a drama with the actress who plays Deadpool's girlfriend. That's what she calls her. I forget what her name is. That's what we call her in my house, so I don't remember her name.
Is it Marina Baccarin? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
She was in Gotham.
Yeah, so she's in it. It's like kind of like a heist, like scam movie where like she's running everything from the prison, and my wife's really into that, so I've been kind of watching it as I walk by. Yeah. But she really likes it. But I can't think of anything I've like really sat down and watched other than the Despicable Me movies. I have to watch the third one because what piqued my interest is that I didn't realize Trey Parker was in the third one. And I feel like Trey Parker's doing a Randy Marsh impression, but he's trying to do it PG. So I can tell he's trying to tone it down for the film, but it's still there. And it's really funny hearing Randy Marsh basically fight Groot in the trailers. So.
Yeah, I mentioned it a little bit last week. I was never a big Despicable Me person. The first one came out, I was very young. But old enough to be like, oh no, that's like, I'm not watching that. Like, it's for little kids. I was probably like 13.
Oh, you were in the it's for babies phase. I know that phase. Yeah, I don't watch for babies. Like, I'm not going to watch that. I'm 12. I'm a man now. I can watch rated R movies and play rated R games and mature games. It's for babies.
Yeah, at that age, I was like, you know, I'll go see like The Conjuring or the new Paranormal Activity. Right?
Yeah.
I was in theaters at the time. So yeah, no, I never really picked up on it. I just remember when like the Minions became the next big thing, and they were in every Facebook meme, and people had Minion phone cases. And they did the Minion movie, which are gonna revisit the Minion movies.
I saw the Minion movie many years ago, and it was really forgettable. Like that's what I meant. Like it doesn't have, and that's okay. Like it's okay to be entertained once in a while with 2-hour movies that don't go anywhere. That are just like they're just mindless entertainment shells, and that's okay sometimes. Just when there's a plethora of them back to back to back, I get annoyed. But yeah, I don't remember anything about the mini movie. It was really, really forgettable. Like they were in like Alaska or something. They were like in Alaska or something, and he saved them. That's what I remember. Like they were in some like snow biome and rescued them. That's the only thing I remember.
There's a new one coming out this year that's like supposed to be a prequel. It's like the Minions Rise of Gru, and it's like the Minions helping out all these like villains throughout history or something like that before like Steve Carell's character came along. Are you gonna check that one out?
No.
Make a trip to the
No, I mean, like at this point, like I'll see how bad the third, because the second one was really like the second one had some interesting jokes and stuff, but the first one is just it's one of those like they were doing original things, right? Like Illumination was like trying to make the next Shrek or whatever it was, and right, yeah, ooh, no, Shrek is DreamWorks. Excuse me.
Shrek was DreamWorks.
Yeah, but like
I have an interesting question for you though. So like, yes, those are Illumination movies. Now that you got a couple of them fresh on your brain. Illumination is making the Super Mario movie that's coming out this year. What do you think about that? Like, has your thoughts on them making a Mario movie change now that you just rewatched those Despicable Me movies?
The Mario movie goes two ways in my mind. It's spectacular train wreck, or it's the biggest movie of all time. Like I don't think there's a middle ground. It's kind of like Sonic. Like, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like that new movie, and I'm not kidding. Like it could be Sonic taking it up in a bucket for 2 hours, and it'll still make $20 bazillion because Sonic, for whatever reason, is like. It just, I don't understand. I wish I could understand the fascination with Sonic. And I've said that before on the show, right?
It's cool,
I'm like,
as hell.
I just don't like, you have all these young kids who never really played the Genesis on any of the consoles, but they've played like Sonic Colors, and like they're the biggest Sonic fan, but they've only played Colors. It's really weird. Like it's such a diverse, wide, weird fan base. Not bad, just weird. So like, you know what I mean? Like it's just so odd. Like people like love the bad games, they like the old games, they like the new games. It's a interesting community. Let me put it that way. So yeah, I mean Mario is probably in the same league of Sonic. I think it's gonna make boatloads of money just because Mario is in it, like period. And then, of course,
Yeah.
for the parents to be interested, they slap Chris Pratt on there because you slap Chris Pratt on everything because he has a dollar value
Well,
attached to his name.
well, the interesting thing is parents know Mario. Like most parents of like young kids these days, like if their ages are ranging from like 30s to even like 40s and 50s, like they know who Mario is. Mario's been around for 35 years at this point. Um, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see for sure. I cannot wait till they release a trailer for that movie. That is going to be a fun day.
It's either going to
To
be,
be
like I
honest.
said, it's going to be amazing or it's going to be a spectacular train wreck. You know what I mean? It could go either or at this point. I don't think there's a middle ground. I think it's either going to be really good or really bad. Like, those are the two things. Like most video game movies are. They're either really good or really terrible.
Regardless of how you feel about them, I think it's pretty hilariously fun that we're getting a Sonic movie and a Mario movie in the same calendar year. Those characters have always been intertwined for decades at this point. I just think it's fun that they're both getting movies this year. People are going to compare them. I remember the Sonic account like tweeted out like some jokes when they announced the Mario movie. That's going to be fun. Once those come out, we can get some opinions on
I
it.
mean, I'm curious how they do it. I mean, the writing in the Sonic movies, like I said before, is atrocious. Like, just everything about that movie is so, like, writing-wise is so terrible. But, like, people don't care because it's just, you're not going there for the dialogue. You're going there to see Sonic go fast. And I think that's a bullshit scapegoat, in my opinion. Like, a movie can still be good and you can still have Sonic go fast and have it make sense and have it, and sell me on the world that he exists in, but I don't know. It's just, I think they made that movie for so little, like, and it got such a huge return because they screwed over that visual effects company really bad. Like, and they did that whole redesign, which I still think was a huge press stunt. I can't prove it, but
No, you can't.
I just have a sneaky suspicion that was such a huge publicity stunt. We'll make him look awful, and then everyone will freak out, and then we'll change it, and we'll be heroes. You know what I mean? Like, I can see that in a meeting room happening. That's crazy. Ratitude.
I don't know I don't know if I follow that theory, but I'm glad they changed it regardless because that original animation looked horrendous. Yeah, I'm with TJ. Sonic is way past cool and filled with gratitude. TJ gets it.
Raphael is cool but
Gratitude.
rude, right? That's basically he's cool, and Sonic goes fast. That's what he does.
He's great. This is why he's an icon. I'm trying to think of some other stuff I watched. I watched a Ghost Story. This older, not older, it came out like 2017. A24 film, which is good. A24, man, they have a niche. They really do have a niche. Like if you either like their movies or you don't, and you always know you're getting like a certain level of weird when you watch an A24 film, whether it be like fucking Hereditary or whatever. But a Ghost Story, it's like essentially this guy. He's like married to a woman, and he dies. Like that's like the inciting incident, like the opening. Like he dies, and his ghost just kind of like hangs around their house. Like he hangs around their house as a ghost. But the way they film it, he's like a man with a big ghost sheet on him.
Yeah, I've seen this
Like,
movie. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, it's pretty forgettable.
yeah.
I don't remember a lot.
And I don't get me wrong, I didn't think it was bad. Like I liked the Ghost Story, and I have a friend that's like they really loved it. Like she was all about it when it came out. But I liked it. I thought it was good. But it's like, yeah, he's like in the ghost sheet. And he kind of like he walks around, and he's pretty much just like watches her life after he leaves, and like how she goes through like depression, and then she starts seeing other people, and then like eventually like she moves out, and like other people move into that house, and he's just still like walking around. And I'm like, it's very interesting. It's kind of like a character study, but of a character that's like dead and not talking anymore. I don't know. As weird as like A24 gets with their stuff, I can always respect them as a studio because they constantly, regardless of what you want to say about them, they always put out some really like original outside of the box stuff. Like you can see their movie and be like, that sucked, I hated it, but like they're gonna give you something different like than everything else that's in theaters, which I can always appreciate. I like the Ghost Story, but I know just watching, I was more fascinated with just like I'm like, who wrote this movie? I was like, I'm so curious. Like, I wanted to learn more about its creation. Like, who had the idea for this, or what is this like inspired by? And it has some like, there's some like interesting like commentary in there about just like mortality and like when you die, like the world doesn't stop turning as much as you might think. Like, people are gonna mourn you, but like the day will come when nobody even remembers you ever
Hmm.
existed. And it gets deep into the weeds with that stuff. And
Yeah,
I'm like, damn, like I'm like.
yeah. It has
A24, man, they go
really
there with that stuff.
it has really interesting themes of like death and what happens afterwards and how people react to it and like your perspective from it if you were to hang around and what happened. Because like in that movie, like I remember bits and pieces, but not a lot. Like in the movie, right? He just disappears one day. Like that's minor spoilers. Like he just disappears. Like he'd be something like he has like a moment of he has an epiphany or whatever, and just kind of vanishes, and that's kind of the ending. So it's not like a unsatisfying. Just kind of like like he finally realized he needed to move on wherever that move on is. And there's like another ghost too across the street, right? He like waves to it and stuff, and then
he sees one in like the window at the other house.
Yeah, and the ghost like doesn't know who he or she was. He's been there for like 1,000 years, doesn't remember anything, and so like he doesn't want to be like that ghost. And so like it's an interesting film. You know what I mean? It's an interesting film. It's definitely got stuff to say. You know what I mean? It's definitely an art piece with themes and a soapbox to stand on, which can be interesting. It's an interesting film. I remember watching that. I was like, this is kind of interesting because there's not a lot happening. It's very slow pacing, which is kind of. I mean, sometimes I like that. Sometimes slow pacing can be good. So I've seen that movie though. That's funny that you mentioned that. I did watch that movie.
Yeah, I know. I just decided to throw it on one night. I was like, I haven't been meaning to watch this for a while, so sure. Denny, I'm glad you brought this up. Denny said I should be on next week to talk about Euphoria because it had the second highest viewership behind Game of Thrones. I don't know how my brain dropped Euphoria this week. I haven't been watching it, but you definitely should be on next week to talk about it because, as you just said, it was like one of the biggest shows the last several years. I would love to hear you kind of do a review on that, and I need to catch up and watch that show because I like Zendaya quite a bit, and it seems to be an interesting show by all accounts. And also, he said A24 is definitely in their bag. They also give Green Knight a chance. Now that's on streaming services. I didn't know Green Knight was on streaming. Where's that at? Is that on like HBO Max?
It's on HBO. I think I've seen like remember some of these things are a slow burn. Like some of these things take a while to pick up. Futurama. Hold on, I gotta mute. I thought I muted these. I muted these not long enough though. 1 second. I hate how I think I do this. No, but yeah, it's interesting how these like some of these movies are indeed like they're just a slow burn. Like they're just and like it's unfortunate too because sometimes like Futurama is a good example. Like everyone hated that show when it came out. Family Guy the same way. Like a lot of people didn't enjoy the show when it came out, and it kept getting canceled and rebooted and stuff like that. And then eventually it finds its audience. And with streaming though, it's not going anywhere. It's on that platform, and it'll always be on that platform. So you can always come back and watch. And like it's not like TV where you could miss seasons. You know what I mean? Or like Veronica Mars, where like they would, or Firefly, they air it out of order purposely, so people don't watch it because they want to self-sabotage it. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like it's really interesting how some of those shows, because The Green Knight could be the biggest show a year from now, even though it was made last year. You know, it's really odd, but I find that fascinating. Some of the stuff and how big it gets and how it takes time to grow and the grind or the sense of discovery for people to watch it. It's interesting.
Yeah, I definitely need to check that one out. I like Dev Patel quite a bit, and it looked interesting when they were marketing it and stuff. So I'll definitely have to watch that sometime soon. Um, I'm trying to think. So I also have another one more review I can do here because I watched. Actually, just finished recently the Kanye West documentary trilogy that Netflix put out. Genius, the Kanye West trilogy. Um, which essentially it's like a documentation. The majority of it's like it's like early 2000s, late 90s stuff, like when he was first getting in, breaking into the business. Then they do some modern stuff at the end, but it's interesting, right? And I guess just to give some background, like I very much like grew up in like the Kanye West like era. Like I grew up like read a lot of his big albums. He was like the biggest artist ever when I was in middle school. Um, Listened to a lot of his stuff. I love a lot of his albums and his music. Like everybody, like I wasn't happy with all the controversial shit he did, like Trump stuff and whatnot. Recent years, kind of flew off the handle in a lot of ways. But I'll say, like, just as somebody who loves a good like documentary and like just a story about a human being, I think it's a really excellent documentary. And I think just it's the production side of it itself is super interesting. Like the guy that shot it was like a close friend of Kanye's that he had met like in Chicago when he was like 19. But as the story goes, like essentially this dude, and he's like a videographer. He's done other documentaries and shot music videos and stuff. Essentially, he was like working for like a local station in Chicago, and they were like covering up and coming like hip hop artists. And he met Kanye, and he was like kind of recording some of his shows and stuff. And Greg, I don't know if you've ever heard of the documentary Hoop Dreams, but it's about like these kids from Chicago that were like trying to get to the NBA, and it like documents like a whole chunk of their lives trying to like make their basketball dreams come true. The dude said that he was like inspired by that, and he wanted to make a documentary like that for a musician. And he thought that like Kanye would be the great like a great artist to do that for it. At this point, again, Kanye's like 19 or 20 maybe, and he's still living in Chicago, doing local stuff. And he said he was ready to start making this documentary about Kanye's life because he was going to invest in it and all that. And then, wait a minute, then Hoop Dreams took place at your high school? That's incredible. We have to talk about it sometime. We had to watch Hoop Dreams at school. I love this. It was a great documentary, but I'll have to chat with you about that. But essentially, so this guy gets ready to do this documentary on Kanye, and then Kanye West ends up like flying out to New York on a whim to like chase his music dreams and try to like get a record deal. And then the dude said he pretty much kind of just like let it go, like he forgot about it. He just kept doing his thing in Chicago. And then about like a year later, he was watching like the BET Awards, and Jay-Z was performing a song, and the beat was like a beat that Kanye had played for him like a year ago and showed him, and he was like, "Oh shit!" Like that was like Kanye West like made that beat for that song. So then he like dropped his job at like this comedy club and like flew out to New York to like pick up his documentary and start filming. So it's like, okay, like you're the next big thing. And it's like it takes place over the course of like from like 98 to like 2005, 6, 7, and it chronicles like of when he was trying to like get his music out there, and people were like, dude, like you make beats, like you don't rap, you just make the beats and other people rap over them, like stick to your thing. And how his persona and how he kind of became such like the character that he is today. It deals with his mental health. It talks about like when his mom had passed away and how that like completely like sent his life in another direction. um I know that a lot of people aren't fans of Kanye West, and I understand why. But I do think, like, just from a character study standpoint, I think it's a very fascinating documentary. It's a very interesting, like, insight just into like who he is and how he's always like seen himself in his artwork. Uh, no, there's definitely some like inspiring stuff in there. Like, if you're a creative person, there's like stuff that he would say to people when he was like 18 or 19 years old. And he's just like, he knew like what he wanted to do and where he saw his dream being. And you look at him today and like he's done everything that he said he would do, like in the documentary when he was uh on the street rapping on the sidewalk and shit. Like he's pretty much accomplished all of that and then some, which is it's pretty insane to look back at. But I don't know, I thought it was a very good documentary. And I remember they said that so this dude, he shot it all, like obviously Kanye was there when he shot it all, but he wasn't a part of any of the editing or like production process. He wasn't a part of the actual making of the documentary, which I know speaks to what you were mentioning earlier when you're like, when you make a movie about somebody, like they can't be involved. I think they do a pretty good job with that. I mean, I can't say if they left stuff out because I didn't know the man or don't know the man, but I think if you were somebody that was ever interested in his story or kind of connecting the dots of how he got from where he was to where he is today, this is very worthwhile watch, I would say.
Interesting. I mean, he's got a huge ego on him now, and I don't like him because of his personality and the way he treats people and the way he acts. I don't like that at all. Like there's nothing humble about him. Maybe there was once. It's like that thing we talked about when you break, when you start to make it big, something happens like to you, and I can't explain what it is. And maybe someone else can in an actual like in the documentary. Maybe it does explain that. I don't know, but like how you just like he just goes from this humble guy making beats and raps to like being like going batshit crazy, attacking Pete Davidson for sleeping with his ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or whatever, and just like acting
Yeah.
like an asshat everywhere he goes, like he's the biggest thing since sliced bread. And it's just like I hate that. Like, where's the humbleness, dude? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
That that's the thing. I mean, you probably hate him for, but like he was never humble. Like, I mean, even when you're watching, like when he was like 19 before he made it, like he was already like in his head. He's like, I know I'm going to be a
oh,
star.
so he was
That was
already
like his thing
having mental problems
when
back then.
when he was 18. I don't think he was having mental problems. He thought that he was the next big thing, and I mean, he ended up becoming the next big thing. So he was definitely onto something. But yeah, no, a lot of the shit he's done in recent years has not been great. And
Just
I do think the mental health stuff, it kind of became a big deal after his mom had passed away. But certainly a character, nonetheless.
I mean, like, this is a good question. Like, I mean, people enjoy his music, but like, how do you like? This is not a great example, I guess, but like, for example, like Chris Brown's a piece of shit human being that should never be allowed to make music again. But they keep making music, and everyone says like, well, keep the politics out of his music. Just enjoy his music and look at it as a separate thing. Do you agree with that concept? Is that a thing that you should do when someone's like an asshole or does something terrible or is just has the ego the size of the moon? Like, should you separate the two and be like, well, this is his music and this is him, and it's two different things, or do you take them together, or what? You know?
it's tough to talk about it like in the context of Kanye. I'll call out Denny's comment first, where he was saying that no, he's like Chris Brown had the chance to like redeem himself and just got worse. Yeah, I'm not really much of a fan of Chris Brown myself. Well, Kanye, it's weird, right? Because yes, Kanye West has done and said a lot of shitty stuff, but I mean, he's as far as we know, like he's never like beat like his like wife or girlfriend. He's never like physically like assaulted. Like yeah, he said like shitty stuff, but he's never
No,
like
he's just an
he hasn't
arrogant.
like
He's
been
just an
in jail
arrogant,
for.
egotistical asshole.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, that's.
but my point is, I don't know if that's enough to be like I'm like separate art from artist. I don't think it's that big. I mean, a lot of famous people are egotistical and assholes. Um, but I don't think a lot of his stuff was enough to really warrant that. But what I will say, in recent years, yeah, like him, like in 2016 election, right, where he was like, "Make America Great Again," and wearing the Donald Trump hat and shit. Then, like, as a black person watching him and knowing the kind of like racist piece of shit Donald Trump is, like, yeah, it was very challenging. Like, I remember being in high school and like listening to his new album when like The Life of Pablo came out, and it's like a damn good album, and it's like, geez, like this dude is doing some very like shitty stuff or backing a very shitty person IRL. So yeah, I think from that angle, it was a bit difficult to grapple with. Personally, I'd be curious to hear from Denny if he has some thoughts on that. He said, thing about Kanye is he clearly has bipolar disorder but refuses to take his meds. Yeah, it's rough whenever it's the mental health stuff. I unfortunately can't speak to it too well, but I do think it's very clear that like the dude needs a better, more consistent help. It is a shame that he doesn't get it or isn't getting it for whatever reason. Um, but yeah,
I mean, it brings up
I wanted
great
to
points
mention it.
because the thing, in my opinion, is I was like everybody's had turmoil in their lives. Everyone has loss. Everyone has issues. Everyone has problems they have to, climb over. And while some people get to do that and make billions, like Kanye West, there are other people who just never recover. And I just think it's unfortunate because everyone acts. The thing is, like, nobody cares, and I saw this on a quote once. Like, nobody cares about anyone else but themselves, and it's actually it's true. Like, you can volunteer and give money to people and do all that and do great things with your life, but at the end of the day, like, the only person who cares about you is you. You know what I mean? So like that's a big thing, right? And then so if people start worshiping you and caring about you on the outside, you feel important and invigorated, and that's where the ego part comes in. But I mean, everyone suffers through life. It's not like Kanye's West was like a story like that doesn't relate to anybody else. I'm sure there are a lot of other rappers and musicians that are living in a 1 bedroom apartment in the Bronx because they didn't get their break. You know what I mean? So like, to pretend that you got through because of pure talent, which he is super talented, like he's talented based on who you talk to, it could still be like very frustrating to see someone be like, I did it and I did it myself. It's like there's still, for every Kanye West, there's like 10,000 other musicians that just never make it and end up working at McDonald's. And that sucks. And that's what I think of when I see things like this. I'm like, yeah, he made it, but there are millions of other people that didn't, and that sucks. And that's very depressing, but I'm a glass half empty kind of person. So, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, we're all trying to just make our way through the world, and some people can just, there's no other word for it, get lucky. You could be at the right place at the right time. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure there are musicians that are, like, you know, not being noticed, that are much more talented than Kanye West, but they weren't in this situation at this time. They didn't meet this person, which caused this chain reaction to meet these people. And it can be, like, it's all timing. It's like right place, right time, right people. You know what I mean? That's what it comes down to. Occasionally you will get the random person of like, oh, I'm really talented and this person's really talented, and like, but that can still pigeonhole, like, how did they see your mixtape? Because your friend was friends with this person, you gave him your mixtape. You know what I mean? It's really interesting. That whole world fascinates me. Because everybody is like one step away from being as big as Ben Affleck, but then also one step away from like sleeping on the couch, which he did do for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
For, you know, it's just I don't know. It makes me depressed because whenever I used to go to these NFL rookie events a lot. And the rookie events is where the NFL hosts like their new season. They pull all the new players into this building and they do interviews and they sign a bunch of helmets to prep because they have to prep to make sure they're not going to be the next major NFL star. They want to have all this merch they can sell and auction off if they're really good. But like, I've talked to these guys and they went to college and 20 of their other friends are trying to get in the NFL and they didn't get called back. You know what I mean? Like, it was just him. And I'm just like, that's so depressing. You know what I mean? Like, calling your family and you're calling your mom, your dad, and your brothers and your sisters, and you call your friends who are trying to do the same thing, and they just, for whatever reason, didn't make the NFL teams. And it's like, wow, like, so for every one NFL rookie that gets into the NFL, there's like 500 people who didn't. It's insane. Probably more.
Yeah, I mean that's just the reality of chasing a dream on the level of like a celebrity level dream, whether it's music or professional sports. I mentioned Hoop Dreams earlier, which is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. Very well done.
Hmm.
But like those like spoilers, like those two kids, like they don't really make it. Like they don't have a happy ending. Like they don't become like NBA stars. It's a great like follow like it follows a story beautifully and it's very like expertly told, but like they don't make it. Like that's like it. Like is they had this dream and they chased it
Hmm.
and shit essentially didn't really work out like that for them at the end of the day. Like neither of them went on to have like fruitful NBA careers. Um but I
I
think it's
think
interesting though.
I think
I don't
this.
know.
I think the whole point I'm trying to make is like perspective is very important. Like just the perspective of things. Like as a human being, as if you are making it. Like I try to do it all the time. Like yeah, I produce content for Shacknews all day long, and I don't get a lot of views. But to some other site who get no traction at all. They've been streaming every day for 5 years. So like I'm doing better than them, but there's also people doing better than me. It's all about perspective. Always try to be humble. Don't be greedy, and like be aware of things that are happening around you to other people, because for every, like you said, for every, there's another quote, every one story, there are 10,000 failures, so
Yep.
it's just really important. Like, you got lucky, congratulations. Like, I'm really happy for you that you got lucky. And people hate when, especially people who feel like they worked really hard for something, like they don't feel like, but honestly, like it all comes down to that. Meeting the right people at the right time, being in the right, tripping over the right person at a coffee shop can have like for example, right? Me meeting John Gideosi for Gamer Live TV was through a friend that I was cutting things from. My life would have been substantially different had that never happened. I would have never found John if it weren't for
Mhm.
that, which would have put me on a completely different path. I mean, I might even be in LA in my apartment freelancing, doing music videos for $50. I don't know. Like it's crazy to look at that, but it could have happened. So just perspective is important, and I Kanye West has lost that in my opinion. He's lost his perspective. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not doubting he didn't work hard. I'm not doubting he didn't have struggles, but man, like scale down, like you know.
Mhm. Yeah, Danny's saying there's always a certain amount of luck in industry, but I also
Yes.
think you got to perform when it counts. You get in the room unprepared and miss out on the shot. Yeah, Greg was just telling a story about like you met like John Gaudiosi, and that kind of was like the what set everything off.
Yep.
Mine was tweeting, being on Twitter,
Yeah.
tweeting it, tweeting at Asif,
It can all go
and
back to like one thing, and
asking him
it
about a
sends you
group
on a
shot.
chain of
Yeah,
events. Sorry, yeah, that's
yeah,
crazy. Isn't that crazy? Like, how would your life be different now if that didn't happen? Like, think about like how pivotal that event was. Because there's a philosopher that says like, it's not about like the destination or the journey in life. It's about a series. Life is about a series of events, and how you tackle
hmm
each event. And that could be like a physical event, a mental event, whatever. Like it's just it's how you handle that moving forward. It's how we grow and how we continue on with our lives. And then you just interconnect another event, and another one, and some of those are great. Kanye West keeps making albums that keep selling a lot, so it keeps going up, But there's other people out there passing their CDs out on Santa Monica Boulevard still for 20 years, trying to get that break. You know what I mean? So just it all comes down to like an event that can just trigger and then snowball. I mean that's what it
Yeah,
is.
no, for sure. Since we have some time right now, I'll talk more like my thing, just to the whole like chasing a dream and whatnot thing. Like I said, like I would just always, I was in college and I was like, I know that I want to write for like a gaming website. Like I'm going to do it. I'll make it happen. I'll figure it out some way somehow. So I just was like literally just website, find different people, and I
Hmm.
found Asif. And I told him I was like, I'd love to just talk to you about your website. And I emailed him. I was like, I'm like 18. I would love to come on as an intern. I'll write like one article, whatever you like guys need, just to get some experience.
All
And
right,
he just
whatever
kind
you
of bring
want.
me on. Yeah, I was like, I'll write anything. Brought me on, and the rest was history. But I do remember having like that feeling, like I said, of like perspective, I guess, where it's just I
Yeah.
remember we started talking in like November, December, and like the next June, I was in Los Angeles at E3, and I remember being there and feeling in my head, I was like, I felt like I was living in like an alternate timeline. I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be here right now, like in the universe, in the fabric of time and space, but I am. So I was like, I don't know. I was like, I'll enjoy this shit while I can.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I mean, like real talk. Like there
but
was
yeah.
points in LA when I would watch the game trailers, folks, when I was like 18, 19, 20, and I'm like, why can't why can't I do this? Like I was already editing, doing freelance work, and I was like, why can't I do this? Like why can't I do what they do? Why is no one hiring me? Am I not good? Am I not talented? And like there would be nights where I cried. There'd be nights where I didn't have, I had to borrow money because I didn't have enough to pay the rent. Like it was, but like my point is that everyone struggles. Like, it's not just your individual journey and, like, you struggled so much that you deserve all that stuff. I think people who work hard do deserve good things, but at the same time, you just have to remember that you're not the only one struggling. You know what I mean? Like, you weren't the only one who had hardships to go through your career. Like, everyone has that. Everyone has those things in their life. So it makes you less unique when you think of it that way. So people don't like to look at it that way, but it's true. Everyone has, and everyone's also at different points in their lives. I'm 10 years older than a lot of my friends here in town, and I'm on a completely different level than them because I'm 10 years ahead of you. You know what I mean? Like, when I was 10 years younger, my life was a lot different too. Like, change takes a lot of time, especially in the real world. We're so used to games and movies showing all this tremendous growth in like a matter of hours, right? Elden Ring, right? You see this tremendous growth in like 30 hours. You go from like this guy with a ladle to this broadsword mastery in the game. But in real life, stuff takes a lot longer. And we're so impatient that we give up so quickly. But if you stay the course, like, and just hang with it, and you work hard enough, eventually you'll hit that event that will trigger something, and you'll get to go. And it may be what you least suspect too. I always thought I was going to end up in the film industry and ended up being a games journalist, which is crazy. Like, you never know where life takes you. So just be patient, be kind, be humble. Perspective. I'll get off my soapbox now in a second, but Donovan gets what I'm saying. Yeah.
I gotcha. Just one Rocky training montage at a time.
All right, whatever you want, and then he gets to do a review, and he's like, "No!"
it's the monkey's it's the monkey's paw just finger curling, right? And it's like, all right, anything, I don't care.
The funny thing too is when I first met you, I was like, "So Donovan, like, did you like whatever game?" And you were so quiet. You're like, "It's all right." Like, you'd say like 2 words, like you'd be like, "It's good." Yeah, you're very quiet. You've actually, like, that's the funny thing too. You grow as a person as you get older too. So it was fun. Like,
yeah.
So yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
get off my soapbox and stand down and let you talk for a minute.
No, it's fun. It's a good opportunity to throw our own little experiences on there. It's fun to do on the show here. Now, essentially, that was everything for like reviews, everything for our news stuff. I don't know. We might forego Generational Gap this week. I don't know. It depends. Unless you had stuff that you wanted to ask about, but
how many Nickelodeon questions do you have?
Oh, Greg. I have an endless arsenal of Nickelodeon questions. It's more so like, how many do I want to use in any given instance?
How many do I want to use in any given instance? I like it.
Yeah. But I could ask you some questions if you want. Would you like some?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. Greg. In the Pokemon. Wait a minute. What am I doing?
What are you doing?
I'm supposed to explain what the Generational Gap challenge is. I just jumped right into the question.
You did.
Pretend like you didn't just hear me say the word Pokemon.
What Pokemon?
Guys, in the Generational Gap challenge, Greg and I would like to quiz each other on the respective pop culture stuff from our generation. So he asked me stuff about maybe like 80s, 90s stuff, and I'll usually ask about 2000s, even late 2010s entertainment stuff. And it's just a little exercise here to see how much we really know. It's always a fun part of our show, and we encourage you to play along if you think you know an answer, because we try not to look at the chat anyway, because we want to really guess here. Greg, are you ready for your first question?
Yes.
In the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl anime, who were Ash's traveling companions? Who did he travel with? In the original season, obviously, he was famously with a couple characters. Do you know who Ash travels the world with at the Diamond and Pearl anime?
Brock and Misty. That's all I know. He travels the globe with Brock and Misty. It's great.
Well, Greg, you're actually 50% right. He was still traveling with Brock at this point, but he was with Brock and Dawn, unfortunately, which means that the answer is incorrect that you gave us. So we do have to give you the buzzer.
I'll get the buzzer. Hold on, I got one right here. Hold on. Where's the Price is Right losing horn? There it is. Wait, no, that's the wrong one. Why can I never find my stupid things? I'm managing. That's the DJ or air horn. No, that's not bad either. Wait, that's the congratulations. Wait, that's bad too. What? There we go. Got it wrong. I played it. You can't hear it, but I played it.
Okay. Well, like I said, I can't hear it, but I'm just gonna imagine that it sounded cool. Yeah, no, Greg. So essentially, he traveled with Brock and his character Dawn. So like, yeah, Misty stuck around for a couple seasons. Then they started to like rotate the like female companion out. They had May, which is like the one of the first ones they brought in. May was from like Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and she had like her brother Max would show up when they were in the Hone region. And then when May went off, they brought in Dawn, who Dawn was in Diamond and Pearl games. She was like the professor's assistant, but Dawn was like something that was really different about Dawn. It was kind of a first for like the main Pokemon anime crew.
Hmm.
Was that she did battle, but that wasn't like her dream. Like she didn't want to be a Pokemon champion. She did like the contests where they would do like they'd go to like the big stadium and they would do Pokemon contests, and you would like do like visual events and stuff. And that was like her dream. And it was like a cool compliment to Ash when be the a champion or whatever, and Brock just like thirsting over every woman. But I always
There's
thought Dawn was one of the cooler Pokemon characters. She had like her Piplup would be with her all the time.
I always saw this meme that seared in my brain where it's like how Ash sees the Pokemon world and it's just like a regular picture of the Pokemon world, and then how Brock sees it and it's two like lines and then a bunch of black. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah,
Because the way his eyes are drawn
are
is they're just lines.
yeah.
So like I've seen the same thing. It's just like the Mandalorian is just like one little cross, can't see anything. It's all black.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, no
you
perspective vision.
know. And Brock is great, and it's funny. Like Brock stuck around in the Pokemon anime for a long time. Like it was a while until they finally like took him out and put in somebody else. It was much later. It was by when they got to like Black and White. I think was when they finally subbed Brock out and brought in like another male character.
Yeah, did he has like a
Um,
family and he like just leaves? They're like, it's fine. He's like, oh okay, I'll go on this adventure.
I forget honestly, but
I
and
remember.
it's funny. So as we talk right now, and I only see it because it's on the side of my screen, but like Twitch, the Pokemon Twitch channel is actually streaming the Pokemon anime right now, and they do it every Tuesday and Thursday. They stream episodes, and sometimes I'll throw it on while I work. And something they've done really well, like say you know about the Pokemon anime, they do a really good job at like making you invest in those characters. Because like when seasons end, like they're moving on to a new region
Hmm.
because like there's new games out and they're going on to the next generation of Pokemon, and you'll get Ash and Pikachu, but like everything else will probably change. But they always do like there's like the farewells in Pokemon are always very emotional. Like I was watching the episode where like Brock like gets on like the boat and they're just like waving goodbye and like his boat leaves in the distance, like the sun is setting and like Ash is like tearing up and like Pikachu's tearing up. I'm like, damn, I'm like they were together for like 10 years and now he's gone. It's like so long, Brock. But they do it like every season. They do it when Dawn leaves and whatnot. But I think they actually do a really good job at that. And maybe that's just because I love Pokemon characters, so it's not going to take much for me to get invested in them.
The,
But I think they do really good with that
the
stuff.
thing I remember the most is that Ash lost the Pokemon tournament in the first season, in the first two seasons of the show, or whatever. And I was like, rightfully
Mhm.
so. He's a horrible Pokemon trainer. He doesn't know anything.
He wouldn't make it far enough. He would not make it very far.
Yeah,
And
just
he
like
looks.
this guy's an idiot. Like I just watched that because he doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't know the weaknesses. Doesn't know like he's like, I'll use Thunderbolt against a rock type. You're like, did you ever read a book before you left home? Like, come on, man. Like,
No, he loses almost all the time.
yeah,
Like
because he's terrible.
almost all the almost all like he never becomes. I think they might have done one season where he won like the tournament or not. Maybe like recently, but more often than not, like he lost every season. Like when it came down to the tournament at the end, which I always thought was super cool. Like Ash was like the one. He was the one like children's cartoon protagonist that would like lose, and that would just
Yes.
be it. Like not lose and then come back the next episode and win. Like he would lose the tournament and then like they would move on to the next season of the show, which I always thought was pretty cool. Which is ironic because the Pokemon games have become very, uh, I guess, infamous in recent years for being super easy. Uh, so it is ironic that the Pokemon anime, the main character can never win.
It's about
But I
that
also thought it was-
grind, leveling up and
oh,
feeling a sense
mhm.
of progression. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Tia said they swapped Brock out before Diamond and Pearl during Johto, I think, for the camera guy. Yeah, he was in there, but Brock was around. Like Brock was in Diamond and Pearl. It was Ash, Brock, and Dawn. And then in the Black and White seasons, when it was Ash, Iris, and then Silent, which is like a gym leader in Black and White, and then they started moving. And Brock's like he's come back and gone away. They always bring back those legacy characters, like Professor Oak will show up in on phone calls or Ash's mom and stuff. But they've kind of had that carousel of characters. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's. I thought that was funny. You can't see.
Mhm.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I just had to pull that
yeah.
up. Sorry.
But you're good. I'll here, I'll get your next question here, Greg. Um, this question is about a Disney Channel show, okay, from the early 2000s. What? Pretty much this family. It shows about a family from the future. They were in the year like 2121, and they had like a time machine. They went on a vacation to the year like 2004, and the time machine broke, and they got stuck in. Well, the show came out in 2004, so at the time that was like modern day. But this family from the future gets stuck in modern day. Do you know what show this was, by any chance, Greg?
Why are you the way that you are?
I don't know why you asked me these questions.
Every time I try to do something...
That was the most haphazard synopsis I've ever heard for a show.
I gave you a lot of detail. Family from the future. It was a live-action sitcom about a family from the future.
I'll tell you what I got. I got out of that.
2004.
A family travels through time and ends up in 2004. That's all I got.
It's a sitcom. It's a sitcom that was on Disney Channel in 2004.
Miley Cyrus and the time traveling machine.
You're about 1 year too early.
Oh!
Actually, you're like 2 years too early for Miley Cyrus. There, I hate to inform you.
Oh.
Oh, Greg. I never with the early 2000s ones. I never know which you'll know what you won't, because I ask questions about stuff from that era. Sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Well, Greg, the show that I'm referring to is Phil of the Future. Phil of the Future was an American sitcom.
Never heard of that. I'm sure it was very interesting.
It was a sci-fi sitcom on Disney Channel, and like I said, like the family, like Phil and his family, they were visiting the year 2004, and the time machine got stuck, and they got trapped in the year 2004. So they were just living in our modern day, but they had like future technology and stuff. And it was 2004, and CG was not good. So of course, a lot of like
CG was not good.
So when they would like time travel and stuff, the effects would look super cheesy and whatnot when they would like use their gadgets and stuff. But I always thought it always looked really cool, and it had like Ali Machalka in it, who was a singer and whatnot. But I quite liked Phil of the Future. Oh man, is this the trailer? Or, yeah,
I don't remember this show at all. I do. 2004. When was it released? 2004, right?
It ran from 04 to 06.
Yeah, man, I was in college. There's no way I was watching this stuff.
Oh man. Yeah, Phil of the Future was great. I will see. I wonder if they had this show on Disney Plus. I don't remember seeing it on there, but I loved Phil of the Future. It was great. It was from what I consider a very classic era of Disney Channel, which was when I was growing up. As everybody thinks TV was great when they were growing up. Yeah, there you go. Well, that's 2 questions. All right, Greg, are you ready for your third and final question?
I am ready. Well, Buffy, what are you doing? Buffy's my other cat's up, and she's not usually. Let me grab her. Come here, don't go back.
Okay.
Come here. She is usually sleeping right now because she's a nocturnal baby, but she's out. I don't know what she wants. She wants something.
Oh really? Does she keep you guys up at night? Like
yes, she yowls and runs around and stuff because she's nocturnal. We play with her a little bit around like 8:39, but then because she sleeps all day, she gets dinner, she gets her breakfast at like between 9 and 10, and then she's purring right now, and then then she goes to sleep in like either her cubby or above the thing, and she comes down around 8 o'clock, and that's when she starts to hang out and be active. But she's active now, so I don't know what she's doing. What are you doing? Sorry, you can ask the other question. I played the boo horn. It was boo. It was a boo.
Okay. Well, Greg, what was the I'm sorry, I should rephrase that. In the movie Avatar, what was the name of the world that all of the Na'vi lived in?
Yeah, Pandora, right?
Place they were in.
Pandora, right?
Pandora.
Yeah.
Yep. Pandora. That was it. Did you ever want to visit Pandora, Greg? Were you one of those people that like wanted to live?
No, I was one of the people walking out of the theaters be like, why the hell is everyone losing their shit over this movie? It's just Fern Gully. Like, I didn't understand. Like, I didn't understand what all the buzz was about. I really didn't.
Yeah.
I guess from a technical level, it was impressive. Like, from a technical perspective. The story's whatever, but like all the visual effects and the techniques they used was all relatively new. So that's why it's popular.
Yeah. I didn't learn this until like 5 or 6 years ago, but there was apparently like a phenomenon after that movie came out where like people like were obsessed with it. They wanted to like live in Pandora, and they would like role play it. They'd write like fanfic about living in that world with those creatures, and I was like, man, you guys were like way more invested in that than I was. But I mean, more power to you.
I can't believe you look at that film and you're like, they actually call a mineral unobtainium, and you're like, what? What?
Unobtainium.
Like Academy Award winning Pandora. What? Unobtainium. Are you serious? Like, is unobtainium hard to obtain? I don't know. Is it in the name? Maybe.
I think I played a Minecraft mod that had a resource called Unobtainium.
Such a stupid name. You couldn't think of anything else. I just didn't understand. Like, I mean, that got through, and it shouldn't have gotten through. All right, sorry.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
I'm 1 for 3.
Yeah, which is that's better than we can say about some weeks, right?
This is true.
All right. Yeah, here we go. Unobtainium. Sorry, I had to Google it. All right.
Yeah, right. It's real. It's what they call the resource in the film, and it's just like I laughed when they said that. I'm like, how did that get through like script approval? Like, how do you like? Yeah, that's fine. It's because James Cameron's like, I directed Titanic, damn it, and I can do whatever I want. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Cameron. James Cameron. Sorry.
It was a temporary like to be filled line that nobody ever went back to fill, so it just came through.
They had to ADR all of it, yeah.
Yeah, people started saying it on set, and they were like, "Uh-oh, too late to turn it back now." But go ahead. Do you have any questions?
I do. So the first one is identify this object, and we're looking. I think it's blurry enough to where you can't see it, but I don't know.
All right, let's freaking do this thing.
I may have to make it smaller so you can't see the writing. Okay. So I want you to identify this object. I'm looking for the casual name, not the specific brand, just the name of the item on screen.
Okay.
What is the name of said item on screen? Just need a name.
It's a big wheel.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Yep. Did you have a big wheel, Greg?
We all did. It was fun because if you spin really fast, it wouldn't grip the pavement, so it would just spin and you wouldn't go anywhere. They were like big plastic shitty bikes. Like that's what they were. They were just really cheap bikes.
They were not made like very well.
No.
They weren't a very sophisticated device. But no, I remember like kids having these in the neighborhood. I never had a big wheel. I don't know if I ever wanted one though. Like I remember people having them, but I remember by the time I was a kid, like they had little like cars you could buy where like kid could like sit in it and drive it. I think big wheels were kind of going out of style.
Power wheels. That's what they always were. Yeah, power wheels.
Yeah, they had stuff like that where it should look like a car, but it was like tiny
and it would go like 2 miles an hour. It was so slow.
Yep. But you like drive around. I used to think those were like the coolest things ever.
Right.
So expensive.
Yeah.
Never had one, but I remember riding one once or twice. But okay, that's a good one. But I'll take that W on that one. Good little big wheel.
Second question is, what are these? They were very popular, super popular in the 90s.
What were those? This might be one of those where I have to give you a weird random answer.
Quick shot balls. Gross cups.
I was gonna say monster balls. Mayhem nuggets.
No, these were called Mad Balls.
I was close. I should have stuck with the balls. I knew it was something balls, but I was like, maybe that's too simple.
Because they are balls. You eliminated half the problem. You're like, they're balls. Okay, good.
Mad balls, but okay, I was close. I said monster balls. What, do these bounce? What the hell did you do with these?
You just collected them, and they were weird. And some of them, some of you could squeeze, and like their eyeball would pop out. But that was much later. The early ones were just balls that looked like monsters. That's basically all it was.
$1 million idea,
dude. You joke, but it is. It was. It's totally like Pet Rock. This is the same category as Pet Rock.
Pet Rock.
You laugh. That guy's a millionaire.
Literally. Well, I mean, hey, no, these. Interestingly enough, I'm not familiar with these at all. I don't even think I saw a knockoff of this in the mid 2000s. So I guess they didn't stay around too long, popularity wise. But that's all right. I'll take the L on that one.
It's so weird because there's no toy stores you can walk into anymore. It's really weird. I can't think of any toy. Like maybe the one Toys R Us in New York, but yeah. So you don't get to see a lot of the new stuff unless Target carries it.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so one for two. The final question is, I'm playing the Jeopardy music. So this was a game, Donovan, and it was a plastic platform that was tic-tac-toe, and you would throw beanbags at it, and it would flip over this mechanism to be an X or an O. What was this board game called?
Gosh, man, I remember this one. It was. I wish I could see an image of it.
That's cheating because the image has the name. Hold on,
no,
hold on. Let's see if I can do this.
It was like I don't know, Tic Tac Toss.
Hold on, see if I can find an image without the branding all over it.
I didn't have one of these, but I remember seeing commercials for them.
This is close enough. Hold on. Come on, internet, load. Load. Thank you. This is close enough. Very similar to this. It was a different color, but it's been transcended.
Yeah, I mean, I remember these. We had this on like the playground or something like that, I think. Jeez. Yeah, my best guess is Tic Tac Toss. Toss tac toe. Tic Tac Throw. That's pretty clever.
Just thinking, I used to be like, name any Transformers. Anyone. Name 3. Any.
Flash.
Damn it, he got one. quick shot.
Yep.
Fast Blur.
Blast.
Silver Bolt. Yeah, I got it. This was, it's called Toss Across.
Toss Across.
Toss
yes,
Across. There you go.
Toss Across. I was close. I was in the right family of naming conventions.
Still got to give you the Price is Right losing horn, though.
Yeah, it's alright.
I'll take it. That's fair.
See, I always thought this was kind of lame though, man. Because like, if I'm playing tic tac toe, like I want to decide where I'm putting my pieces in. Like, you take all the tic tac toe out of it. If I'm just randomly getting an X or an O.
Yeah, but the problem with tic tac toe is it was at 60 or 70% of the time it ends in a draw. So like nobody wins.
Only the real intellectual.
You're right. You have to go first to win, and then you have to, yeah. Otherwise, yeah, it's an interesting game, but yeah. So that was Tic Tac. That's Toss Across. So you are 1 for 3. How many Disney questions am I going to get next week?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking of some Hannah Montana stuff that we can talk about next week, which I'm sure will be fun. Okay, that's good. So wait, we both finished 1 for 3, or well, one out of 3. We both got.
I have a bonus question.
Ooh, okay, go ahead. Sure, why not? It's only 5:45. What's up?
What are these? What are these? We're just looking for a generic brand name. We're not looking for the name. We're not looking for.
They were like, are they like crash dummies, or are they crash dummies? But there was like a. I thought they had another name to them, but I guess it's just crash dummies.
Yes, Crash Dummies is correct.
Okay.
I'm amazed you know what they are, because that was even old for me when I was a kid. I saw commercials. But...
yeah, it's just the look, like with the little symbols. Like I remember seeing Crash Dummies and like commercials and stuff, and they've got the little like Crash Dummies logos and stuff on them. But what would you do with these toys? You put them in toy cars and run them in the walls really fast?
So
they survive?
So originally, I think they were like meant to be like just a symbol to like teach people about safety and car crashes, and then like they kind of took off in the 80s, and so they made like a whole line of like cars that would like crunch, and so like yeah.
Oh, they came with cars. That's cool. So they came with like crashable cars.
I remember the toys were cool, but like I'll play a commercial now for you.
Larry, you know this simple exercise can help you stay healthy, which keeps medical costs down.
But you gotta do it every day, Vince.
Oh god, this is like the most 80s shit ever, or 90s shit ever. What is going on here?
Buckle your safety belt.
Yeah, so they were like, and one of the guys is voiced by Lorenzo Music, who people know as Garfield or Peter Venkman for the first few seasons of The Real Ghostbusters. Famous voice, like you'd recognize him if you heard him.
Okay, yeah, I'm hearing that from my correspondents in the chat that the Crash Dummies game and TV show was not good.
No, they were not. But the toys were cool.
Not enjoyable.
Let me see if I can find some of the toys and show you real fast. It's because the toys were cool. See if I can.
It's a weird one.
Here we go, 93. So let's see if I can. Here we go.
Would you take a spin in this taxi? Sure. A tailgate party? Whoops! I'll smash their fun. Got it right. With the evil Junkman in hot pursuit, the dummies stop for a break. Break? Where's the break?
God, you remember when kids played with toys? That's how old we are.
I used to play with toys. I don't know how excited my mom would have felt about me playing with like cars that just meant to be crashed.
Yeah, well, you put them back together,
that
but
sends the right
kids don't play with toys anymore. I am now the target audience. I probably buy more toys than kids do. Like, you know, so that's...
You probably do. That's actually true.
My nephews don't buy any... The only thing my nephews buy that's toy-related is Nerf. Nerf and Super Soaker is like two things that they really buy. Like, they don't buy action figures or toys.
Nerf was a classic, man. I loved me some Nerf guns back in the day. They were a lot of fun. That's because I was a chicken and I didn't do like airsoft or paintballs, none of that shit. No thank you.
Oh, the airsoft stuff, man, it's a weird, like, that community is very odd. It's like that community is like, it's the community that wants to play military, but they won't join the military, and they spend thousands of dollars on replica guns that look like real guns, and they play like military. I don't get it at all. Like, I just don't. I don't get it.
Airsoft has a very dedicated community, and I remember, like, I've played airsoft because my stepbrother, he was like big into airsoft guns and stuff. Him and his friends, and it was one of those things where like they all lived in the same neighborhood and they all had airsoft guns, so they just kind of had like an open, ongoing thing where they would just like shoot each other. Like they'd like my brother like go out to like take the trash out, and his friend would like come out the house and shoot him with like an airsoft gun. And it was so weird. I remember one time I got shot like in the face, like right here, with an airsoft gun, and it was like the most like stinging pain ever, and I was like so upset. And I remember getting hit in my hand once. It was not fun getting hit with an airsoft gun. It was a whole thing. I hated it. I hated like the tiny pellets.
I wish I understood airsoft. I don't. I mean, I understand paintball more because paintball is more of a sport to me, where like airsoft is like, I don't know, like grown men playing military dress up. Like that's all. I'm sorry. Like this is different than LARPing, right? Because LARPing's not real. You know what I mean? Like, you're in a fantasy world throwing fireballs at each other. Like, they try to make this so real. It's just like, it's like a Civil War reenactment, but in modern times. And it's not something like with this stuff going on with Ukraine and Russia. Like, you realize that wars shouldn't be something that you fantasize about. You know, extraction, like extraction and Counter-Strike scenarios is something you shouldn't be like excited to do. Like, that stuff's dangerous. You know what I mean? It's serious. And these people, they just play dress up and spend thousands of dollars on like fake guns. And I just can't, Donovan. I don't get it. I wish I did, but I don't.
Wait, you watch Saving Private Ryan one too many times. Next thing you know, you're patrolling the streets with your military gear and your airsoft gun.
Dude, what? So
your M16.
So do you remember when there were riots in LA happening that like over it wasn't, if I remember, it was Trump. It's got, everything's blurring together, but there were riots in LA happening, and they called in the National Guard, and someone I went to school with who was always a little like not all there, but like he served the military, got dishonorably discharged because like he couldn't follow orders, and he dresses up as like military, he like studies all his history books. He got arrested and he's in jail now because he showed up pretending to be a National Guardsman to help the riots because he was so obsessed with his name was also Greg Kim, I think. Dude was a psychopath. Like, if you really just join the military if you're this obsessed, you know, join it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't play dress up, go join the military if you're this enthralled with it. Oh,
that's actually kind of hilarious.
Yeah, it's so dumb. And like, the funny thing is too, GJ, those stupid BB guns, like if you get one that's shaped like an AK, it's $2,000. I'm like, but it fires the same pellets as this $9 toy one, and it's I don't get it. I just don't get it. I can understand a lot of hobbies, but that's not one of them. Donovan.
I'm gonna get Greg in like an airsoft Desert Eagle.
No. I don't want that stuff.
And a bulletproof vest. No. Oh man. That is fucking hilarious.
Well, one of my friends is like, I have this whole like NATO outfit I bought, and it's all accurate. And I'm like, dude, just fucking join NATO then. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is not stuff you should be excited about. Like, this is not stuff you should be romanticizing, man. It's scary. Especially when you watch like plays of it. Like, it's all these big burly military nuts that get shot like with a pelt, and they go, oh, and it's just I'm sorry. If there's anyone in the chat that's really into airsoft, I think everyone goes through that phase, especially in the early 2000s when Call of Duty Modern Warfare was huge. You know, so like everyone was like trying to replicate that in real life, and I don't know.
Yeah, that was probably a big part of it.
TJ's right there. I just don't get it. Like, but who am I to judge? I mean, like, I have $700 statues, so like, who the hell am I to judge about if you buy a $2,000 airsoft gun? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it is what it is. That's funny. It's you know, I think that's also probably a good place to end. We can end on a good comedy beat there because that was fucking hilarious.
I I just want to. I want to understand it, but I can't. My brain not work that way right now. I can't figure it out. Donovan, do you know anybody like that?
Not nowadays, no. But I mean, I knew people that were in airsoft back when it was popular. But these days, I can point to anybody. But it's okay, Greg. Next E3, if they ever do that thing again, or E3 equivalent, we're gonna find an airsoft field and we're gonna have a IRL shack battle.
I'd rather do paintball. I'd rather just do paintball.
I do paintball. I did paintball a couple years ago. It kind of hurt. I got hit close up, and I was
Yeah,
like,
but like you feel the shots. Like it's visual and physical when you feel it. It's not like a little pellet that bounces off your like 8 layers of clothing, and you're like, "I was hit," and you walk off. Like there's sports. There's like it's more of a game, right? It feels more of like a game you could play, like a tag than the military scenario stuff. That's kind of like I don't know.
No, well, I totally get it. Either way, I think we're probably gonna go ahead and wrap up there, folks. What a fun episode of Pop Goes the Culture it's been. Talk about some,
Let's get the fuck out of
interesting. No, we talked about some interesting topics. I think we're doing a great time. I like the diversity in our stories today. We had a very lengthy and a very insightful review segment. We talked about a diverse range of shows and movies. It was fun, and the generational gap was good. And great show by all measurements, in my opinion. As always, we appreciate you guys being here. Axeman, TJ, Denny, Asa,
Yes, thank you, everybody.
RM Squires was in there chatting with us. 8-Bit Wizard there at the very beginning. Everyone that dropped by, Lego Feet. We appreciate you guys chatting with us and just adding to the conversation. It does mean a lot.
It does.
Greg and I are going to go make our brains work big. As always, I'm Donovan Erskine, news editor here at Shacknews. That's Greg Burke, our wonderful head of video. And we will see you guys next Thursday for the next installment of Pop Goes the Culture.
Stay tuned for Donovan's 15-hour non-stop Elden Ring stream coming up right now. Surprise! No, I'm just kidding. It's not a surprise. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
We're out of here.